Welcome to our show once again on Anidi TV. Today I sit here with the son of Group Captain Albert Kwame Jones Mensah. Welcome, Mr. Jones.
Most excellent lawyer, barrister, Andy. Thank you very much for having me on your show. I, the Vice President of Ghana Armed Forces Children Association, felt I had to take the opportunity to furthermore elaborate on the advocacy we stand for to represent the children of the Ghana Armed Forces, both commissioned and non-commissioned officers' children, and also, and most importantly, children who benefited from living in many of the military installations in Ghana, Takoradi, Kumasi, Tamale, Volta region, and Accra, the main one being Bema Camp, of where I lived and grew up, spent most of my childhood life.
Your father is a very noble man.
Yes.
Mr. Albert Jones Mensah.
Yes, Group Captain Jones Mensah, sir.
And I understand that before one is named on the block at the Bema Camp, it means that you must be a very highly decorated personnel of the armed forces.
That's correct.
Who was your father?
All right. Group Captain Jones Mensah grew up in Sekondi, Esikado, I believe, and later on joined his parents in Kumasi, Fantinu town. But when I came to his life, or in my early memory years, was in Takoradi airport residential area in Takoradi, where I had my early memories. From there, we moved on to Tamale, where he became the commander, air traffic control commander in Tamale. Then I had grown up a bit, so I had wonderful experiences to be part of the Airborne Force Primary School, which still is still there, current today. Yes.
But he became, I mean, when was he actually appointed into the armed forces, if you can recall?
I cannot recall, but I know it was in the early 60s, where he came to be trained as an air traffic controller in England, where I believe he met my mom. My mom was working in Ghana Airways. Then before that, I think it was British Overseas Airlines. And so when he was stationed in Takoradi, I think that was when they started dating. And they got married. We've got some beautiful pictures of their wedding near the Air Force Station mess in Takoradi.
All right. Now, he would have served, or he would have been in the military during the time of Buzia. Not so much of the Afrifa, but during the Buzia administration.
I'm sure.
How was the country like?
Well,
you probably were young at that.
I was young. Because my parents did do a lot of traveling overseas. My grandmother brought me up. But as a market trader, my grandmother was a market trader, where she used to, after school, I used to attend a school called Snaps Preparatory School, where even I was a border student. And Ghana was a vibrant country, but I think money and the economics of the country was not that good. So there was a little bit of social unrest, and which led to the Achampon campaign, and Canal Champon's campaign, which led to the overthrow of the government, the politically elected government of Buzia.
I believe you spent some early teenhood in Ghana. Or probably your teens in Ghana, and therefore witnessed so many of these coups over and over, especially being a child of your father. The Achampon takeover, was it bloody?
The Achampon takeover, comparatively, I would say it wasn't bloody, no. It was quite a peaceful one.
After he took over, how was the country then?
I think, from my point of view, I'm not non-political, I must say that.
Yeah.
But I think it was an era where Ghana identified itself as a country capable of being self-sufficient in the agricultural industry due to the massive campaign on a national level. We became self-sufficient. I mean, everybody had a lot of back garden where they could be able to grow their own fruits and vegetables.
I see.
And for the first time, I think, in my early memories, Ghana was able to export corn, beef, beans, soya beans, fruit and vegetables to neighboring African countries. And I think that was a beautiful era. However, I then was not politically inclined to argue to say, no, there must be a change. But my seniors, you know, the gone students at that time, you know, stood up to say there must be a change of government, which led to the political unrest in Ghana.
Again, during the Champon's regime?
Yes.
Champon was obviously overthrown.
Yes.
There was a cleanup exercise.
There was a cleanup exercise.
On that fateful day, where was your father?
My father was arrested and kept in the guard room of the Air Force station. Most officers were arrested.
Why do you think your father was arrested?
Because in the military, we have a chain of command. And like in any institution, even in a manufacturing environment, we have managers, we have directors, managers, and supervisors. So attaining the rank of a squadron leader or a major in the military army terms, you were a supervisor. And the other ranks and non-commissioned officers answer up to you. So for the political superiors who had overthrown the current government, they had to ensure that all supervisors, managers were kept at bay so that they could have full control of the whole governing system of the country at that time.
Okay, and you and your mother and siblings were still based at Burma Camp?
Burma Camp, yeah. Juba Villax.
Okay, and you guys were not arrested at all?
No, I mean, some of us were in school.
Okay.
We came back home.
Okay.
And the whole environment had changed because you would come back and notice that your next door neighbor is no longer there because maybe he had been displaced.
Right.
Based on one or two reasons, of which sometimes I regarded it as petty. You know,
Okay.
You come back from school and notice that your friend is no more.
Okay.
Parents no more due to the revolution.
On the very day, were you in the boarding school? Or
I was in the boarding school, yes,
okay,
but
so
I did.
You came home.
Yes, but my junior siblings, Henry and Ishmael, were at home.
Right.
When the incident happened, my parents, then I think we had one officer called Group Captain Kwanzaa visiting from Takoradi. I think he might have been the station commander in Takoradi.
Okay.
He flew the Sky Van at that time before he went on to fly the F-27.
All right.
And during that time, he was visiting, staying with my parents. And when the incident happened, where they all had to hide for a couple of days, and until later on, my dad had to report and have himself arrested and kept in the guard room at the Air Force Station.
How was your mother taking the host?
My mother, you know, is the motherly type, loved the husband very, very much.
Well,
the
I
two
can
of
see
them,
that from the pictures.
yes, the two of them were very compatible. They loved each other,
Right.
truly, deeply. Many occasions they were voted the best couple within the Air Force.
How long did your father stay in detention? Or was he kept in detention for?
A couple of days.
Couple of days when he came back?
Yes.
Okay. Obviously, on the day the execution took place, all right, the exiting of the
We had fled Burma camp.
At the time, on the very day?
Yeah, we had fled Burma camp too. We were completely displaced. My mother removed us from Burma camp.
Okay.
And went to live in our uncompleted house in Teshinungwa Estate, Clare Junction, next door to Mrs. Afrifa's house, General Afrifa's wife.
Okay.
It was supposed to be a 4-bedroom bungalow.
All right.
It wasn't completed, no wall, no gate, no toilet facility.
Okay. Right.
But my mom couldn't handle the sort of violence which was happening in the camp. So we were forced to go and live in Teshinungwa Estates. Yes.
You were living next door to the late Afrifa's wife?
Yes.
Did you ever have any interaction?
Yes, Mrs. Afrifa was a second mother to me.
All right.
When I had completed my O-levels, she personally took me to Laboni Secondary School to commence my A-levels.
Okay.
However, because I had fallen in love with agriculture,
right.
Because when we were displaced from Burma camp,
right.
we had to start growing our own food stuff.
Okay.
So through that, I fell in love with agriculture.
Okay.
So luckily, I got admission to Kwadaso Agri College, where I spent 2 years to study modern agricultural sciences.
See, that's why you love the Operation Feed Yourself of a Champion. But that's why you love it. But at any point, did she express her concerns about the execution of her husband?
Mrs. Afrifa?
Yes.
Yes. If she sits you down, Mrs. Afrifa was a mother to me, I always say, and she had other nephews like Skelly, Benisa, who were also displaced during the coup.
Right.
So they had to come and stay with Mrs. Afrifa. And on certain good days where she chooses to tell her story about the gallant, well-spoken, highly educated General FIFA, you would be able to tell that yes, she dearly did love her husband. So she was sad. Yes, of course, she was sad.
Considering, I mean, you were a child brought up in those atrocities, the era where a lot of bloodshed took place, and having grown up from that point, how did you all cope? You, your siblings, living next door to Mrs. Afrifa. How was it like after? I'm sorry to put you in that sort of situation, but how was it like? How did you guys maneuver that sort of pain?
We had no choice. It wasn't. We hadn't grown enough to be capable of doing our own things, and so it was a very sad time. Very sad time for us, yes. But it was a blessing in disguise because it toughened us.
Okay.
We lived without we lived in Burma camp. We had 24/7 electricity. We had 24/7 water. Nice sanitary system. But all of a sudden, we were displaced. Went to live at a place where there was no electricity, no water, no toilets, and we had to adapt.
Okay.
And every morning, I'll be carrying 5-gallon drums to go and fetch water at Mrs. Afrifa's house. And it was a tough time, but I think that made me what I became. And even better when I went to the agricultural college in Kumasi.
When there was quest and cry for let the blood flow, were you part of that movement?
No.
Was it actually true that people were crying for the blood?
Yes. The The politically motivated student of that time, I've heard one of watched one of your previous recordings with Major Boachijan. You know, they became an era where there were political ideologies being implanted in young students' minds. Nkrumah came with an ideology of Pan-Africanism. Certain political errors came with certain communist ideologies. So part of the Let the Blood Flow campaign and regime must be, socialist or communist motivated mentality, where they felt the bridge between the super rich, the rich, and the poor were too vast, and hence they had to change the national dynamics of distribution of wealth, employment, education opportunity, health opportunity. The whole dynamics, one way or the other, had to happen because the social engineering developed by the British. I'm not a specialist in this industry, do forgive me, but this is how I saw it, that, the way the elite, privileged academic professionals and the middle class professionals and lower socioeconomic groups who had nothing but true free education, of which I benefited one way or the other. I've come to be aware that, look, there should be a political change, a change which will bring opportunities based on merits. And that, I believe, might be part of the philosophies gained from the Let the Blood Flow. Yes.
Would you consider, or at the time, consider yourselves as privileged, as Boachijan stated in his interview? That most senior officers' children and family
were privileged.
You were privileged.
You
consider that you were privileged.
We were privileged.
Okay.
Burma Camp is a city of its
own.
On its own.
Yeah.
Can have self-sustained facilities, utilities for over a year without going outside the perimeters of Burma Camp, the likes of Juba Villas. We had 24/7 electricity. But if you just travel out of Burma Camp, 2 miles radius, Labadi, Osu, Teshi, a lot of them didn't have electricity. A lot of them didn't have running water. And even current today, I hear people, because of lack of toilet facilities, have to use the open space. And I think these are some of the, discomforting things that has led to these political...
I like your honesty, because obviously but your father was recalled or called to serve in the AFCA.
Yes.
And he refused?
He declined.
Why is that? Why did you think he refused to join the AFCA?
Personally, I think he was a boy from the old school.
Okay.
And the AFRC was a sudden movement of aggressive command for change, which he didn't want to be part of. During the coup era, the revolution, you would believe or see officers carrying pistols. My dad never came home with a pistol because my mother would not permit it. My mother would not permit having arms in the house.
How did he survive in the army after refusing to join the AFC till he passed on.
I think he, because of his honesty, integrity, transparency, he managed to sustain, but diversified his strength through learning, education, development, and he was then relocated to other departments, i.e. training and development, like the Senior Staff College in Teshi, where he became an instructor, and further moved on to become an instructor in Nigeria, which is Command Staff College, Jaji in Kaduna, where I had the privilege of visiting there as well. Yeah, beautiful settlement.
Would you classify, or would you class his survival in the army as lucky? Considering that most people that were called, including Sarkodie and all that, that refused to join at some point were somehow eliminated. Your father survived it.
He survived it. Yeah. You know, he wasn't the type where he thought if you can't fight them, join them. Yeah. You don't have to join them, but you can play your own game. But in a clever, non-involved way.
Wow.
Yes. He survived it and came out, retired with full colors, moved on to become the Chief Executive Officer of VAG, of which I'll be very much happy to talk about.
Of course.
On your program.
I will give you that
he's played a major role. A lot of officers and non-commissioned officers live a lifetime career, which is over 20, 25 years, 30 years.
Your father served over 31 years.
Correct.
Right.
And they come out and they become very displaced. Because they are not civilians. They've been militarized or been, institutionalized for over 30 years. And to come out in the real world, and a lot of them are unable to integrate. It is for that reason we decided to form the Armed Forces Children Association to advocate, represent, support the less privileged. We grew up being officers' children. That is a very segregative settlement as well. We may need to talk about another time because there's the divide and let's rule. You know, the junior officers, the non-commissioned officers, different settlement for the junior officers, different settlement for the senior. So there's that, social divide even within the barracks.
I learned you couldn't even date, a different rank's daughter if you were in junior rank.
Was that the case? Is very discriminatory. I mean,
was that the case?
Yes. Yes.
So what was Rollins right in terms of his position?
Well, one way or the other. I would not dispute that. But I went to Burma Camp Complex. An open school for even civilians children to attend. Non-commissioned officers children to attend. Commissioned officers children to attend. As children, we integrate, we fall in love, we become friends, and as you are growing up through your teens, you may choose, or a young lady whose father may be a corporal or a sergeant or a major or a colonel, you may choose to go and visit. But there's that line, there's a boundary, there's always the glass. It is there that, you can visit, but,
Wow.
Yes.
The army is like sort of like a brotherhood or something, because it's like, this is the first time I'm hearing something like that. It's like,
yes, it's an institution.
You guys have your own rules and traditions and culture.
And culture, yes. A non-commissioned officer cannot decide to have his wedding engagement at the officers' mess. No.
Wow.
No.
But this is, your father was a senior officer,
Yeah.
and yet you are the vice president of the Sojaba movement.
Yeah.
You've teamed up with Marina
Yeah.
and a whole lot of people, and you are doing massive contribution.
Yes.
Was it because of your mother's decision to move away from Birmingham that brought you that sort of humble beginning? For you to now mingle and associate yourself with all the rest, and now start a movement where you are now going to meet most junior officers' children.
Correct.
And help them.
Yes.
What was this all about?
I think it is through my educational development in the UK, which gave me a much more diverse idea about social integration.
All right.
I went to Bradford University, where I studied community studies, community development.
Right.
I became the first chief executive officer for Bradford Action for Refugees. But going back to the Sojaba movement, I met this lovely lady, Marina, whose father was an Air Vice Marshal. My father knew Air Vice Marshal Odate Bama very well. That was his senior. At his retirement year, actually, my dad was the one responsible for him. His
because he
welfare.
Over the VAC. Yeah.
And through that, I got to know of Marina, who said, Michael, you know, we need to come together and help our siblings. So she said, Michael, I would like to form an organization called the Armed Forces Children Association, and I would like you to join and be part of it. I said, oh. So it was true that, you know, she had a vision. I liked her motive. I liked the objectives and the aims. And so while in England, she was busy. She had a vision. She said, Michael, I really want to go and do something in Ghana for the less privileged siblings of ours who weren't as opportune as we were. I said, great. I would like to be part of it. So would you consider yourself to be the vice president? Say, yes, I'll be part of it. We've done a lot of charity work. We've done donations to the retired non-commissioned officers who were residing at Legion Village, but because of urban development, they had to be relocated somewhere in Pokuase. And we got together some basic essentials, bed sheets, shirts, socks, shoes. They had served a country for 25 years. A lot of them had dismembered bodies because they had, you know, lost arms, limbs through war, and their wives had passed on. Their children had moved on, and were alone. And we felt our movement should be focused on helping not only the children, our siblings, but also their parents. Yes. So we developed a philosophy where we felt that maybe there is a program to help soldiers, army personnel, when they are going into retirement to have an occupation before they come out. But whether that is being very proactive, I don't know. But that is going to be our next stage through collaboration with our American counterparts and the British Legion to see whether we can assist furthermore in helping officers who have served the country when they come into retirement. They could continue working.
Wow.
Yes.
What are some of the challenges you've been facing since forming AFCA? I mean, you would have probably met people who were not happy with even Marina, maybe the likes of yourself, Rollins, I mean, Zeneto is part of it. I mean, how do you children coordinate and bring them on board together? Because you are a lot now.
Yes.
How are you consoling each other and making sure they you understand? They understand AFCA.
We all have a story to tell.
Okay.
Some positive, some negatives.
Right.
But the most important point, myself and Marina always like to state that we will always be there to hear their side of the story. We are not political. We understand the scenario we all encountered. We were schoolmates from primary school. Your father could be in the AFCA, and your father refuses to be part of that campaign.
Yeah, of course.
But that shouldn't separate us. And we all have our very sad. For instance, just last week, we lost one of our comrades, daughter of Colonel Jackson. Colonel Jackson was the commissioner for Works and Housing during their champagne time. Her daughter was a major player in our representation in Ghana. Her name is Doris Jackson. May her soul rest in peace. Very active representative for us in Ghana. Yes. So, as it stands, it's true love, empathy, sympathetic understanding to people's needs. That has made people like myself, Marina, and our other colleagues who are executives in the UK to show the same kind of love. Yes, by giving a helping hand and also an advocacy to ask the current senior officers for support and recognition.
Great. And you've done tremendously well. Just before we get to our next stage of question, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Maintaining a presence at the forefront of a global issue with the desire to help others come to a resolve in personal and business affairs is why Andy D Legal and Immigration Associates was established.
We specialize in overseas British passport applications, bails and temporary admission, deportation and detention cases.
The profound pattern in achieving positive results with fragile cases in immigration, nationality, European Union and human rights law, adoption, marriage, divorce, litigation, and so on, up to date, has been broken, and that is why our client base continues to expand.
We also do representations at the UK border agencies and overseas consulate, human rights law, and settlement and leave to remain applications.
We have the right keys to unlock any case across the spectrum of law, locally in London and across the borders in Ghana, where our other branches are established.
We are located at 44 Broadway, Stratford, E15 1XH. Our telephone number is 0203 1300 751.
Andy's natural mineral water comes with a natural thirst-quenching relief. No wonder it leaves you yearning for more and more. Andy's natural mineral water. Numunsu Papa.
Welcome back. So,
thank you.
Obviously, what do you think of the cleanup exercise that took place in Ghana? Do you think, looking back in time, looking at the work you're doing, especially because a lot evolves around those children, do you think it was worth it?
It had to happen. I think it had to happen. There's been the negatives, there's been the positives, but Ghana has moved on.
Great.
We are better people now. We have better understanding that having a politically elected government is much more diverse for the people rather than having a military intervention.
Right. Have you come across other children who have just refused to join AFCA?
Yes.
Who wouldn't want to hear anything at all? They want justice.
Yes.
How do you deal with them?
Well, we always call them. We never let go by saying, stay at your little corner and keep crying. But we keep calling them to say, tell us your story. You know, the trauma you went through of losing your dad or being displaced suddenly, many a times cannot be recovered. But as we've grown and matured, we've become parents ourselves. And we know when our children need love, need a shoulder to cry on. So we being, I would say, maybe the third generation of armed forces children who have a better stead to be welcoming for our siblings to come onto us and tell us their story. And through that way, they develop an outlet and maybe find a way to let go, come on board, share their story, and encourage others who still are adamant and refuse to join us on this crusade to be of help to the current generation, irrespective of their parents' rank, but are still less privileged. There is no equality in education in Ghana. Education is a necessity, even though the government has offered free education. However, the quality of education being offered is quite questionable. I'm non-political. I must commend our president, His Excellency, Nana.
I was just going to come to that.
Okay. For the great job he's doing, offering free education, healthcare. First and second world countries do not take such daring acts to provide healthcare provision, free utility, electricity, water during a pandemic. I must take my hat off to His Excellency. Not also to forget the current Chief of Defense Staff. I must also commend Air Marshal Samson Oje, who named a very prominent building after my father. Group Captain Jones Mensah, the Jones Mensah Lodge, next to the Air Force station, mess. Yeah.
This government is very particular with the armed forces.
Yes.
I think they are paying good attention to them. And have you reached out to the government, the current government, for assistance with AFCA?
Not as yet. We wanted to start our own charity from home. Charity begins at home. So most of the contributions and collections we've done ourselves, myself and Marina. A couple of years ago, Marina and myself, through approaching colleges, schools in England, managed to secure 120 laptops, computers, 3,000 books, of which we donated to the base primary school in Accra.
Okay.
We are here to do more of these. And I think giving a book to a young person to have the opportunity and share that dream that there shall be a future. The future shall always be bright.
Okay.
It's a wonderful concept. And it's that concept, myself and our president, Mrs. Marina Kingsley Yina, has in our heart and mind to fully execute and bring on board all children of the armed forces globally, America, Germany, Switzerland, Africa, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Egypt, to come together and mobilize and show that, yes, what we have benefited from our parents through a career privilege, we want to give back. We want to pay back. So I'm calling on to all the armed forces, children, police, prisons, Air Force, Navy, have I forgotten? Army, to come together as one and achieve our goal and dream.
Thank you very much. We must come together as one and achieve a common goal. This is where time will bring us. This is the Hour Show. Remember to subscribe on our YouTube channel, Facebook, and follow us on Instagram. Thank you. Have a good day and goodbye.
Thank you.